What's up guys, Fahan here. Welcome back to another ultimate review. This is the review of the Suzuki Burgman 200.
The Suzuki Burgman is a series of automatic scooters targeted for the European market as a daily commuter. In its home market of Japan, the Skywave nameplate is used instead. The Burgman 200, designation UH200, was first manufactured in 2014. In Singapore, competing with the likes of the SYM GTS and Kimco Downtown, the popular Burgman 200 stood out, being a full-sized scooter in the Class 2B segment with lots of storage from a recognizable mainstream brand.
So a bit of background on this particular Burgman 200. This bike actually belongs to a good friend of ours, Edward, also the same owner of one of the first few NX400s in Singapore, and this is his second bike. So Edward, thank you. Shout out to you for loaning me the Burgman 200 for this review. Apparently, he said to me he wants to sell his bike, but after I rode it for like 1 week, he changed his mind. I think he's still gonna keep this bike as a second bike lah. Now, as the Burgman 200 is no longer in production, this review serves as more of a memory and keepsake. Also, this was during the era before NMAXs, Aerox, ADVs were not around yet, and the Gilera runner reigned supreme. Apparently, the Burgman 200 is a very popular machine in Singapore, up there with the SYM GTS and also the Kimco Downtown 200. So, alright guys, so as usual, guys, start with riding posture. Okay, so sitting this bike right now, as you can see, at the seat height of 37.5 cm and 165, and yeah, completely flat-footed on the ground. It's very easy for me, at least for vertical challenge riders, no issues. The Burgman 200 is meant to cater to a variety of heights, and especially targeted for vertically challenged riders as well. Probably one of the lowest seat heights for a scooter at least, but yet it doesn't compromise on its ground clearance at 13 cm, so it's able to go through the humps, especially the large hump at the immigration. But when I'm sitting on it like this, as I put my feet on the floorboard, at first, it feels pretty squeezy due to the low seat height, and in my personal opinion, I think taller riders will have an issue, but it's something that you get used to after a while. So its weight is 164 kg. I mean, similar leaks to other full-size Class 2B automatic scooters out there, such as the GTS 200 at 165 and the Kimco Downtown at 183 kg. At a length of 205.5 cm, it's considered a full-length maxi scooter. Similar leaks to the X-Max and Forza. You don't see too much of these full-length scooters in the Class 2B segment these days, with the exception of the Downtown 200. Even then, the Downtown 200 internationally is actually 250cc, but just for the Singapore market, they downboy it to a 200cc. So up next we come to design, and being a 2010s era bike, the overall design of the Burgman 200 is very much dated and has a late European 2000s look. Very curvy with soft lines and accents that give off a mellow look. According to Suzuki, it's supposed to evoke an elegant and sporty outlook, to evoke a luxury feel as with the rest of the Burgman series of bikes. Huge split headlights design in the front, which are derived from automobile elements. Also another design element carried over from the Burgman models. Indicators are flush with the body. Rear taillights are also a split design, adding to the car-like look. Windshield is high right out of the factory. It's also been ergonomically designed and wind tunnel tested, keeping the rider comfortably shielded from the wind, insects and road debris. Vent ducts located at the bottom of the windshield reduces air turbulence and increases comfort. At the front, as you can see, it has a slim profile, but as you go to the rear, feels kind of wide. Actually, it is wide lah, and it looks really ridiculous by today's standards. Supposedly, it provides a more comfortable riding posture. By my personal opinion, after riding for quite a while, my bum tends to ache. The seat is actually kind of hard, in my personal opinion, but it is what it is. But my wife, she loves it though, and she finds the Burgman 200 a very comfortable ride. The floorboards continue on into the rear, also serving as the footrests for the pillion. We got cast alloy 13-inch wheels in front and 12-inch in the rear. Large enough for highway speeds, but at the same time, very easy for you to maneuver in tight spaces and CD settings as well. Overall appearance doesn't really make the bike stand out and blends with the traffic as well as in any cityscape. Overall, the Burgman 200 is targeted for drivers looking to switch to a scooter for their daily, and it strives to be an easy transition. Alright guys, I'm next to come to the cockpit, and we start with the handlebars. Okay, so the handlebar is a typical scooter handlebar. Okay, we got this plastic cladding over here that I find kind of irritating. Makes it difficult for you to mount accessories, so you have to mount it on the mirror stocks over here lah. So the IU unit is mounted over here, the Insta360, and additionally there's a Chigi over here which is also mounted to the mirror stocks. Yeah, so this infotainment system is not part of the bike, so it's an accessory. We shall not bother about it too much. Okay, so riding controls are pretty basic and straightforward. To the front over here, we got the flashing button, high beam, low beam, signal indicators, horn. And to the right, we got the engine kill switch, hazards, and the starter itself. Nothing much to it, it is what it is. Okay, so up next is the gauge cluster. Okay, it's a combination of LCD and analog, kind of huge. Why is it huge? Because they want to make it easy for car drivers to easily transition to the motorcycle. Plus, they got a very car-centric kind of gauge cluster over here lah. So if you have ridden a car, particularly those maybe Proton Saga, may seem familiar to you lah. Okay, so to the left over here, we got the speedometer. To the right, we got the tachometer. To the top over here, we got 3 warning lights: the fuel injection, ABS, and temperature. Okay, so turning on the bike right now, the LED part will be activated, and you can see the animation over there. Okay, so we got a time clock above that. Below that, you got check. So check means to basically say that the side stand is down. When the side stand is pushed up, it will display the odometer. And then after that, we got the dual trip meters. So pressing select, you can toggle between the odometer, trip A, trip B, and back to the odometer. And below that, we got the average fuel consumption. Pretty basic, pretty straightforward. Nothing much for you to see or adjust. And yeah, it is what it is. So up next we come to storage, and storage is definitely something that I really appreciate on the Burgman 200. So we got 2 storage cubbies over here and a 41 litre underseat storage. Okay, so opening up the storage cubby over here at first, you may have some difficulty to access it, but you can actually turn the cover so you can get more access lah, and put a whole hand in there. But the flaps feel a bit flimsy, yeah, and a bit low quality, but it's okay, I guess. Over here, below that, we got a huge storage cubby, okay, that runs through the full length of the leg shield. So space is very huge, you can fit a lot of things. And additionally, we got a 12-volt socket over here as well, so you can really charge on the go. A lot of things that you can fit in there, and Edward really has this thing full before I remove all the items to showcase you this storage cubby over here. And it's lockable as well, you can use the key to lock it, but unfortunately the smaller storage cubby above it, you cannot lock it lah. So do remember to keep your safe items secure. Alright, so putting the key in the ignition, and twist to the left, you can access the underseat storage at 41 litres. It's one of the largest underseat storage for a scooter of this class, especially class 2B. 2 full face helmets that you can fit inside, but you have to put it in a unique way as seen in this photo right here. And on top of the 2 full face helmets, you can fit even more than that, like smaller items like raincoat, everything. And speaking of how you can put the helmets, right, they actually illustrate on the way that you're supposed to put the helmets over here lah, under the seat over here. And once again, something that I can really appreciate on the Burgman is storage. And if that is not enough, Edward actually has a top box over here. And this looks like a metal top box, but it's not. It's a plastic, so it's lighter and looks aesthetically pleasing as well. So gives that rugged look to the bike. Alright guys, so next we come to engine, and it's a 200cc liquid cooled 4-stroke SOEC 4 valve per cylinder. Makes about 18 horsepower, and the engine is known for its reliability and awesome fuel savings as well. The radiator is probably the biggest on any class 2B bike I've ever seen. Really puts some of the radiators for even bigger bikes to shame. Fuel tank is 10.5 litres with a mileage of 48 to 52 kilometers per litre, depending on how you ride, of course. It's pretty typical of class 2B or 20 scooter kind of mileage you're getting there, and I think it's a fuel saving kind of bike. Okay, so up next we come to technology, and being a 2010s era machine, don't expect much technology to be on this bike because it comes at a time where ABS is probably uncommon in most of the machines in those days. But I'm just gonna list them out for you guys here. Okay, it's got dual channel ABS, standard on all Burgman 200s, 2 piston caliper in front, 1 piston caliper in the rear with 240mm rotos. Interestingly, the Nissan branded ABS system is also shared with the Hayabusa. Wow. So there's actually a piece of Hayabusa on the Burgman 200. Surprisingly, 33mm telescopic fork in the front with 9.2mm of travel. And for the rear, owner Edward, he actually changed out the rear dual shocks to YSS in Thailand. I'm not sure if Singapore has the same exact shocks, but you need to check with the local YSS dealer, Chong Ik. My personal opinion, after riding this bike for close to 2 weeks now, the suspension is kind of bad. I don't feel as if that the bike is absorbing any of the bumps and road imperfections as I'm riding it. Kind of irritating as well. Automatic idle speed control system, and finally a huge radiator in the front over here for cooling. Probably the largest on a Class 2B bike that I've seen so far. So horn check for the Burgman 200. Okay, so up next we come to price. In 2018, in Singapore at least, you can get a brand new Burgman for 9,500 machine price only. So I'm not sure if this is actually the correct price, but this is according to my research on the internet lah. So yeah, without COE, once again, machine price only $9,500 in 2018. Okay, so we got a few listing on Carousel. $6,000 for 2017 registered model. COE expires in 2027. And another one which is almost half the price of that, $3,500 for 2016 model. So the Burgman 200 is not available in Malaysia, unfortunately, but I have seen Malaysian riders in the forums really want a bike like the Burgman, and the closest that they can get is the SYM VTS 200, which is a rebadge of the GTS 200 lah. But in 2024, there is a Burgman Street 125EX. So that is a compact scooter that is kind of similar to the Honda Vario, and it's not a direct successor to the Burgman 200 lah. Okay guys, so we're back in the city of Madini, and of course it's time for the riding review of the Burgman 200. Let's start the bike now. Twist the ignition, uses a key by the way, brake in. The biting point is really quite far. So you really need to get in there and back the bike. Right on the gecko, the acceleration is pretty decent. Very comparable with other Class 2B automatic scooters out there. Not to say that this is slow, but somewhat the same lah. I mean, it's a Class 2B scooter. What can you expect, right? Not as fast as the SRGT 200 though, or even the Gilera, but this one quite comparable lah to the ADVs and the X-Maxes around. So the Burgman 200, I have to praise the handling on the Burgman 200 is very good. Right on the get-go when you get on the bike, it's pretty easy to handle, leans and corners perfectly. I think Suzuki made it sure that the fuel tank, which is slung as low as possible to the bike, makes the handling better lah. Speaking of fuel tank, I don't really like the fuel tank's cap. You need to use the key to open it. It doesn't have a separate button like most of the modern automatic scooters out there. There's this protective flap on the fuel cap, followed by the fuel cap itself. You need to open it using the key lah. So it's a bit inconvenient. Maybe in those days the scooters are commonly using those kind of lock, and not only that, because these days most of the scooters, they are using keyless transponder, right? They use the button to open the fuel cap lah. The acceleration wise, low to mid range is okay, but top end is not that good compared to most of the other automatic scooters out there. Brakes are pretty awesome. Brakes on a dime, comes with ABS front and rear. Not sure if it's dual channel. The vibration on this when idles is very bad. I can feel the idling on the handlebar, my feet, my ass right now. I'm not sure if this has to do with the age of the bike, because this bike is quite old 3 years left of COE, I think, according to Edward. Engine is kind of loud too, so I wouldn't say there is a smooth riding experience, but it gets the job done lah. And it's a commuter, you know, for you to get from point A to point B. So for a Class 2B automatic scooter, it very much feels like a 2A. In terms of the size, the handling, the way this bike corners, right? Though I feel that the handling is very good as it is. Feels a bit boaty, maybe because it has to do with the longer wheelbase and of course its size. So it's like you're riding around in a big jet ski, or what Edward calls a sofa. A sofa on two wheels. And it is a sofa on two wheels though. This is a huge seat, especially the pillion, very comparable to the X-Max. My wife, she loves the seat. Yeah. So city riding, I think no issue, start-stop traffic. It's a scooter after all. It's meant to take on this urban landscape. I find myself riding confidently, lane splitting, going through tight corners, tight spaces on this bike. Even though the size is kind of intimidating and it feels like an X-Max in terms of size, I feel fairly confident like going through all those tight spaces. It's a Class 2B scooter with 2A attributes in terms of size lah. Once again, low to mid range is very good on this but you really need to go in there and whack the throttle a bit because the biting point is just quite far on this. Brakes on a dime as well, though I feel that the brakes are kind of hard. Maybe this is Edward's personal preference, I'm not really sure, but you really need to go in there and use up your hand and use the brakes. Suspension wise, oh man, this is something that I need to complain on the Burgman 200. It's very bad. And to say that Edward has changed out the suspension to YSS in the rear, I don't feel as if it's absorbing any impact. And you can feel every bump, every road imperfection, every road marking on the roads. It's like virtually the shocks on this are non-existent on the bike. Not really a comfortable or smooth ride lah. I have to applaud the windshield on this, kind of tall if I don't count this one and there's nothing disrupting here, so no wind goes through and it's really comfortable. And when it rains, I'm really getting all the protection I need from getting wet, especially at my lower part of the body lah. The riding posture wise is something I wish that it could be improved. Maybe this is due to the low seat. If the seat is slightly higher, I'll be sitting comfortably. It doesn't feel too squeezy, because I can feel my legs, they are folded in even more than compared to the other scooters that I've been riding. But of course you're flat footing on the ground Oh, we got the regulators. So suspension wise, just terrible on this. I can see the bike shaking just because of the bad suspension. Man, I'm not sure if I would call it a luxurious or comfortable ride, but as a commuter from point A to point E, if you're not too fussy about all this, it's okay I guess. Fuel consumption wise, I'm getting slightly more than average on this bike. Maybe this is due to the bike's age. I find myself topping up every 3 to 4 days. Okay, so we can go into the highway now and let's test her out on the highways. I feel that we can get up to speed pretty quickly and is able to catch up with all of the modified kapchais on the road. Okay, so let's test it out. Oh, low to mid range once again, very good, but the top end is very terrible. 110, can feel the bike's engine getting louder. My ass is rumbling right now. Oh, suspension wise, it's not too good lah. You see the road looks smooth, right? But actually I can feel every little bump and road perfection right now. I mean, despite all my complaints that this bike made it to Thailand itself. Edward actually rode this bike to Thailand, to Hat Yai, to Route 41 Patalung. And then he also told me that because he hit a pothole or something, his main stand broke. But I'm still able to put it on main stand. It's just that you need to be careful with it lah. So highway riding, not too good, not too bad either. It's somewhat in between lah. Simple commuter from point A to point B. There are better automatic scooters out there if you're not fussy, and there are certain pros of this bike that makes it stand out from other automatic scooters, such as the awesome underseat storage on this. It's very huge, but other than that, the Burgman 200 doesn't really appeal much to me. Even the design also feels bland and outdated. But then again, you're looking at a bike that was manufactured in 2014. So in those days, most of the manufacturers are offering similar bikes as well, such as the SYM GTS 200, Kimco Downtown 200, all pretty similar. Even the Gilera also. But the Gilera, the design, is timeless, I would say. Too bad they cease to exist though. Thank you, Edward, for borrowing me the bike. Here we go, here's a hum. Oh, that's gonna leave a mark. Okay guys, so I had like almost 2 weeks with the Burgman 200, probably the longest I've ever spent on a bike that I've borrowed. Apparently, it's a very popular machine in Europe, in America. Surprisingly, owners have praised it for its utility and reliability. And of course, due to our strict vehicle control laws, the population of the Burgman 200 is dwindling, and you barely see much of this on the roads nowadays. Obviously, the ADVs, Aeroxes, NMAXs and PCXs have displaced the Burgman 200. At least for the Class 2B unmated scooter, you get a full-size maxi scooter benefit with large underseat storage, reliable engine, mechanics and awesome fuel consumption on this. It probably wouldn't attract much attention on the roads, and nobody will even give it a second look. At least it doesn't attract the attention of the authorities. And it's just a nice, comfortable ride when you're riding the Burgman 200 . So once again, huge thanks to Edward for loaning me his Burgman 200 for this review. Really appreciate what he has done for Tabak Overlanders as a whole. That's it for the vlog. We'll see you guys in the next one.